How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her?
She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person.
Crockett. Oh, man, oh, man.
She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Yeah, baby. We are back here on WLTH 1370 AM. That is 92.7 in the FM dial, the region's choice, the people's voice. It is 6:47 in the PM here on 12/12, December the 12th, 2025. The future is here. The future is now. And if you ask some people, the future of the Democratic Party is that woman that Donald Trump was just talking about. One Miss Jasmine Crockett. Now, what you just heard right there was Jasmine Crockett's first political ad for her run for Senate in Texas. Now, the entire ad was Donald Trump saying disparaging and in some instances seemed like possibly racist things about this woman. Now, it might be, I think it's an effective ad for the internet and for people who are already a part of the Democratic Party base. But for the average voter, I think it's just basically, once again, it shows you where the Democratic Party's issues lie. It's just about Trump. Everything's about Donald Trump. And that's the problem. But let's get started, folks. Well, in this era of Trump 2.0, the Democrats as a party has often come across as listless, feckless, and without direction. And in that wandering in the desert where the party has seemingly fractured into pieces, there seems to be jockeying for the heart and the soul of the moribund party and a desperation to find somebody, anybody, to fill the void of leadership and energy they've been lacking since the Obama era. Seemingly one of the few bright spots for the Democrats in the Trump era has been a young congresswoman from the Lone Star State named Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine has come to prominence over the last few years with her flamboyant style, a sassy attitude, embracing hip-hop vernacular, and most importantly, a pugilistic attitude, which has seen her at odds with, obviously, Donald Trump, if you listen to that ad, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and much of the sort of right-wing hive. You know, whether it's online or offline, you know, right-wingers are often triggered by her. Hours after former NFL star Colin Allred quit the Texas Senate race on Monday, rabble-rousing Representative Jasmine Crockett jumped right in. Now, Allred, who, like I said, used to play in the NFL, his departure leaves progressive social media stars Crockett and State Representative James Tallarico in the Democratic primary. Longtime senators, Senator John Cornyn and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton are the leading contenders for the Republican side. And Republican Wesley Hunt is also running, but he's not going to win. A recent poll by the University of Houston and Texas Southern University indicated that Crockett would lead the Democratic primary field with 31% support, while Tallarico was backed by 25% and Allred 13%. Now, this is news because Crockett has built a huge online and fundraising base within the Democratic hive through her high-profile feuds with Donald Trump, as you heard in the intro. But many top Democrats doubt she can win a general election in conservative Texas. Crockett, who represents a deep blue district in Dallas, has made several controversial comments that top Democrat fear would turn off swing voters, such as calling wheelchair-bound Texas Governor Greg Abbott Hot Wheels. That was funny. I'm sorry. It was pretty funny. And suggesting that some people on the right are inherently violent. So all of this has made her a huge star with the sort of, you know, corporate liberal, well, I won't even say like, not even the super corporate liberal, but sort of the K-Hive, you know, base of the Democratic Party. And there's this perception of all black people, and particularly black people in politics, and especially black women in politics, that they will inherently be progressive. Like, okay, they're progressive. She's black, she's a woman, she'll definitely be a progressive. And so, and we saw this even with Obama as a man, but because he was black and his name was Barack Obama, people believed that he would be a progressive. But Barack Obama himself said that he was basically a Reagan Republican. That's what he said. Those are his words. And Obamacare itself was a plan taken from the Republicans. It was Mitt Romney, when he was the the governor of Massachusetts implemented Romneycare. Barack Obama put some sprinkles on it, called it Obamacare. So Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, was always a right-wing Republican health care plan, which is a big part of the reason why the Republicans are struggling so hard to replace the Affordable Care Act, is because they don't have a plan, because Barack Obama stole theirs. And so there's the perception that all black people, especially black women, will be progressive. But one of the main litmus tests of how progressive somebody's going to be, if somebody's going to be a corporate puppet of the establishment, or are they actually going to fight for working class and poor people, particularly legacy black Americans, is the issue of Israel. Israel are the ones who get billions and billions and billions of dollars of American taxpayer dollars. And Israel even trains the police. You know, a lot of the police departments that are beating the crap out of black men all over America, a lot of them are trained in Israel and have been post 9/11 for years. Israel's at the forefront of the surveillance state. Israel and AIPAC, a lot of the billionaires who support Israel are the ones behind all these data centers. People like Larry Ellison, who we're going to talk about probably next week when we talk about how he's literally trying to hijack our entire media. He's trying to buy our entire media. He's already bought CBS and installed an Israeli propagandist named Barry Weiss as the head of CBS News. And so a lot of these billionaires, these corporate billionaires, the same ones who maintain our corporate industrial complex, our prison industrial complex, who are expanding the surveillance state using artificial intelligence to do so, a lot of these people are very super pro-Israel. And so, and they buy all of our politicians. AIPAC is very powerful. And the Jewish lobby, Israeli lobby is very powerful in our politics. And so we've gotten to a point, especially over the last 2 years, since this genocide in Gaza, where there's sort of two camps in the Democratic Party. There's people who are going to stand out and stand up against, you know, Israel and its genocide in Gaza, and there's people who sort of go along to get along. And so when you look at it from that perspective, somebody like Jasmine Crockett starts to look very funny under the light. She voted yes on H.R. 8034, providing $17 billion in security aid to Israel. $17 billion, and has many times defended the long-standing alliance between the United States and Israel. In July 2014-2024 interview with Michael Tracy, she absolutely looked completely out of whack, like for somebody who is very much loquacious and capable of, articulating herself very well. But when she was met with somebody who was willing to press her on these issues, she sounded completely out of sort.
Ended up firing missiles over into Israel.
After Israel invaded Lebanon.
Okay, but is Iran Lebanon? Or is Iran...
No.
Okay,
But this thing, it's a spiraling catastrophe that the Biden administration has done nothing to rein in.
Let's be clear. When the attacks, which I will say, everything that happened in Lebanon, or the initial attacks, at least that was more calculated, and it was more, it was specifically intended for who? For terrorists, correct? I mean, these are...
You got to clarify what you're saying. I don't follow.
Hezbollah. So Israel was attacking Hezbollah, correct?
Well, they've done a ground invasion into Lebanon now.
They have now done one, but to be clear, they were attacking Hezbollah, who is a terrorist organization, correct?
Right, but they've invaded the entire country. They bombed Beirut. They've bombed the country.
Okay,
So you think everybody who's been killed in the Israeli bombardments has been Hezbollah?
I didn't say that. I'm
Okay.
telling you that what I am saying is that at least when Lebanon, we talked about what? They had the pagers, correct?
Right.
And so they were literally more calculated in trying not to do...
Those pages blew up in grocery stores, and a little girl was killed.
I understand, and I'm not disagreeing with that, and I want to be clear. No one should ever be okay with war.
Well, you voted to fund it.
No, I did not vote to fund war. What I voted for...
Yes, you did. You voted to supply Israel with armaments that they're using in their prosecution of the war.
Do you understand that we took more than one vote? Let me ask you, since you know about...
I know all about it. I follow it very closely.
So tell me about the rest of my votes.
On the National Security Supplemental?
Can you tell me about all the votes that we had? Because we had...
Yeah, you voted for Ukraine, for the Indo-Pacific, for...
Because we had 3 votes on Israel.
There have been like 1 million votes on Israel.
We had 3 votes. Let me clarify. We had 3 votes as it relates to funding for Israel. So let me make sure that your record is very clear. The very first vote was to fund Israel and defund the IRS because that's what the Republicans put on the floor. That because the Republicans run the House. Okay. What was my vote? It was a no.
No.
Then
But you ultimately voted yes on the bill to fund Israel.
The second vote was to fund Israel and no other funding. Okay. The third vote, was it just for funding Israel, or was it also to get money to the people of Gaza?
And that aid has been consistently blocked. I mean, you can complain about Netanyahu, but he's the one administering the funding that you've said.
So at this point, her people step in because, I mean, she's getting pretty exposed there by Michael Tracy, who is a journalist. But so many people, particularly Democrats and the more left-wing Democrats, have run around saying Israel is committing genocide. This can't be tolerated, but yet people like Jasmine Crockett continue to vote for it. And she's a defender of Israel. A long time, she even took a trip over there to Israel, a funded trip to Israel. And so what we're seeing is sort of the hollowness of Democratic politics. Like, all you need is vibes. And that's what she's about. Notice, she doesn't support universal health care. She's not fighting for reparations for legacy Black Americans. A lot of her top donors, even though she says that she's done with politics as usual, a lot of her top donors include private health insurance companies, big hospital corporations, high-powered law firms, investment corporations, real estate corporations. Half of her contributions, $1.7 million, came from the big money donors and super PACs, after she said that she would not accept super PAC money. She takes money from private insurance companies so that she won't support Medicare for all or single-payer health care. Which every other, let me remind you once again, every first world nation in this world has universal health care. Every single one of them, except for the United States of America. We are the only first world nation where people regularly go bankrupt and go decades without seeing doctors because they can't afford to see a doctor because they don't have any insurance. This only happens here. Not in England, France, Germany, Canada, Japan, none of those places. She's not supporting a living wage. She's not talking about what ICE is doing, or at least abolishing it, cutting the military budget. Where's she at to talk about cutting the military budget? She's all vibes. It's all, I don't like Trump. Trump doesn't like me. Republicans don't like me. And vibes. And she's going to, I'm sure since she's from Texas, she's probably going to bring out Megan Thee Stallion like Kamala Harris did and dance around on stage with her. But this is what we get in the black community. We get corporatists who sell out to big interest, health insurance companies, super PACs, all these other things, Israel. And for us, we just get like, we get a free concert and some fried chicken, I guess. No, that's here in Gary, we get fried chicken. We get some fried chicken, y'all. But Barack Obama said that we shouldn't feed our kids fried chicken for breakfast, remember? Now, I say that you compare her statement that you just heard on Israel with somebody like, you wouldn't even think, somebody on the right who's supposed to be a Republican, that you wouldn't even think would have the gall to go against Israel. Compare Jasmine Crockett's statement that you just heard where she's funding Israel and voting for Israel and defending our alliance with Israel with what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say about Israel.
Israel is the only country I know of that has some sort of incredible control over nearly every single one of my colleagues.
How did you find yourself in this place? Because you stopped voting for funding for the Israel war?
Yeah, it was easy for me. I'm a business owner. If you're an Israeli citizen, you have government-funded health care and you have government-funded college. If they're doing so great and they're funding health care and college, why is dead broke America having to spend $3.8 billion? I've turned radically and unapologetically for America, just flat out for America. I'm like, I'm sorry, we don't have time to fund what you're doing. No, we don't.
Now, again, I'm no fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said a lot of things in the past that I definitely don't agree with. Okay? But the fact that she's saying stuff like this and this.
And I'm so disgusted with Washington, D.C. I hate politics. The two-party system is extremely broken. It is failing all of us. And when I look at, you know, here goes another $100 billion to Ukraine or $30 billion to Israel, but yet nobody can afford health insurance premiums. And then I'm getting yelled at by my Republican colleagues for saying that out loud. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican. Who sounds more like a progressive? You know, and if we're going to compare it to other black women, you compare her to somebody like Nina Turner, who's been very open about our relationship with Israel. And even when Kamala Harris is trying to run for president, half-heartedly, might I add, last year, this is what Nina Turner, who we're going to celebrate in our birthdays, our happies, had this to say.
This week, you said Harris should do more to separate herself from President Biden. How would you advise this campaign, at least at this point, 16 days out, to handle this delicate issue?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And President Biden has given Vice President Harris the leeway to separate herself from him. And I'm glad that he did that. We know early on the vice president walking a very fine time, a very tightrope, because she is in that administration. But she should talk about an embargo. She should talk about, stop talking about the suffering of Palestinians as in the passive voice. Talk about the suffering of Palestinians and talk about the fact that our own laws, before I even get to international law, Israel is breaking our own law. We are breaking our own laws by not holding Israel accountable for not allowing aid to get into civilians. We have the Foreign Policy Act that makes it very clear that once it is brought to, or the Foreign Assistance Act, that makes it clear that once a president is made aware that a foreign country that we give aid to is not allowing humanitarian aid to come in, that we are supposed to stop giving them weapons. We are not adhering to our own laws, and we're not adhering to international law. Yeah. So Vice President Harris would do well to not just remind people about the suffering from October the 7th to this very moment, but to also say that as President of the United States of America, I will not abide by what is happening in the Middle East. That matters to many voters, especially the Arab American community, but not exclusively, Hannah. We know younger voters very much care about what is happening in the Middle East.
Yes. And as now we could pick apart the election data from 2024, we saw that Kamala Harris's refusal to distance herself from what Israel was doing. I mean, obviously she's married to Dougie Emhoff, who is a Zionist. So I know that was pretty hard for her, but that one of the things that may have cost her the election, especially in places like Michigan. Somebody like Nina Turner will give it to you straight. Whereas Jasmine Crockett is looking to be a just run-of-the-mill corporate sellout, corporate Democrat who trades on their skin color and their gender and vibes and the fact that Trump doesn't like her. To try to get ahead. And the problem that we have in our community, and particularly within, the left of our community, is that you're not allowed to criticize without being called a sexist or racist or whatever. No, I just played Nina Turner. She's a black woman. You hear how easy it was for Nina Turner to just say, we need to stop sending them weapons, period. We need to cut them off, period. We are sending billions of dollars. You hear how easy it was for Marjorie Taylor Greene, out and out Republican, to say these things? That's how you know who is owned by the elites versus those who are not. And so we know that Jasmine Crockett has lied about taking PAC money. She takes money from super PACs. She's voted to give Israel every weapon system they've ever asked for. She sends billions of our tax dollars to Benjamin Netanyahu and their racist, genocidal government in Israel. We are in a world where Marjorie Taylor Greene is more progressive than Jasmine Crockett. And so, again, this is what happens. This is how we get trapped. We in the black community, we never make demands from these people. We never demand that they distance themselves from the harmful entities like Israel, like the military-industrial complex, like the prison-industrial complex, like Wall Street. All we get vibes. We get vibes, and we get these fandoms. We treat these politicians. I hear John talk about this all the time. These people are fans. Jackie talks about it a lot, too, on Wednesdays. These people are fans of these politicians. They never hold them accountable. This has been going on here in Lake County for generations. We just don't hold these people accountable. We become fans of these people. A lot of times, he went to Roosevelt, or he went to Lew Wallace, or he did this, or whatever, and we just become fans of these people. We don't hold them accountable for their politics, and it's really toxic in the black community because we have created generations of black politicians who are just blatantly narcissistic. They are sheer narcissists. They don't work for us. We work for them, and it's our job to make their dreams come true. It was our job to make Kamala Harris's dream of being the first black woman president of reality. No, it was her job to distance herself from Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel and stop a genocide and say, I'm going to stop a genocide on day one if I'm elected, and she probably would have gotten elected. She didn't get blown out. Michelle Obama, oh, America's not ready for a woman president. Like, literally, Hillary Clinton won the majority of the votes. She won the popular vote by like millions of votes. More people wanted Hillary Clinton to be president in 2016 than wanted Donald Trump to be president. That's a fact. And Kamala Harris only lost by like 2 points. It really was, in both cases, terribly run campaigns that cost them in vital states. They were really badly run campaigns. That's what cost them. But a lot of these Democratic politicians have just become sheer narcissists, and we serve their egos. We vote for them. We don't make demands of them. And this is a problem with the Congressional Black Congress in general. I'm even take it beyond it. They don't fight for reparations for legacy black Americans, which is the #1 issue they should be fighting for us. The only time they'll even mention reparations is when they are so far out of power or when they think they're not going to have any real power. So then when it doesn't happen, they can just say, see, the Republicans just voted it down, y'all. But when they have power, when the Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the White House, you don't hear nothing about reparations from these people. Just like you don't hear anything about universal health care and Medicare for all for these people. You don't hear anything about ending any wars or cutting the military budget. Joe Biden raised the military budget every year he was in office. This is who we're voting for. This is sort of the reality of post-Obama corporate black politics. Corporate-friendly politics, fake anti-populist, anti-working class, pro-Israel nonsense. And it's important that we hold these people accountable and demand that they give us more than just vibes and twerking contests with Megan Thee Stallion. All right, folks. Now that I got that off my chest, it's time for us to have some fun. It's time for the Happy Happies. We'll be right back after these here on Straight Out of the Cannon with me, Scott Cannon, here on WLTH 1370M. That's 92.7 in the FM dial. If you're nasty, we'll be right back.